10 greatest unsolved heists in history. What if I told you that some of the most legendary criminals in history pulled off massive heists and then simply disappeared? No alarms, no fingerprints, no witnesses. Just millions, sometimes hundreds of millions, vanished into thin air. These aren't movie plots. These are real-life mysteries that remain unsolved to this day. Despite decades of investigation, elite task forces, and high-tech forensic work, these cases have baffled the world. From missing art to underground tunnels, these stories read like fiction, but every detail is shockingly true. So prepare yourself as we uncover how the perfect crime might really be possible. Welcome to Crime Cipher. In this episode, we're counting down the 10 greatest unsolved heists in history, cases that defy explanation and justice alike. Number 10. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum Heist. On March 18, 1990, two men dressed as Boston police officers buzzed into the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. The guards, thinking it was a routine check, let them in. Within minutes, the officers handcuffed the guards and disabled the alarms. Over the next 81 minutes, the thieves calmly stole 13 pieces of world-class art, including works by Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Monet. The total value? Over $500 million. Not a single painting has ever been recovered. The frames still hang empty in the museum, haunting reminders of what was lost. The FBI believes the artwork changed hands in the black market. But even 3 decades later, no arrests have been made. Many theories link the theft to the mob, but none have been proven. This heist remains the largest private property theft in history, and one of its most baffling. Number 9. The Antwerp Diamond Heist. In 2003, Leonardo Notarbartolo and his elite crew pulled off the heist of the century in Antwerp, Belgium. Targeting the world's diamond district, they bypassed multiple security layers: motion detectors, infrared sensors, heat detectors, magnetic locks, and steel-reinforced vaults. They rented an office in the building months in advance and studied guard patterns, vault schematics, and alarm frequencies. The job was executed over a weekend, giving them hours to work undisturbed. They escaped with over $100 million in uncut diamonds, gold, and other gems, many of which were never insured or even recorded. Despite Notarbartolo being caught later, police could never find the diamonds or identify all accomplices. It's believed the loot was melted down or sold to international buyers. To this day, the question remains, how did they get past one of the most secure vaults in Europe so flawlessly? 8. The Banco Central burglary in Brazil. In 2005, criminals in Fortaleza, Brazil, spent 3 months digging a 256-foot tunnel, longer than a football field, from a rented house to the Banco Central's underground vault. They set up a fake landscaping company as a cover and used industrial tools to dig under 2 city blocks. On the weekend of August 6, they broke through the vault floor and removed 3.5 tons of Brazilian reais, worth over $70 million. The heist went completely unnoticed until Monday. Authorities were stunned by the sophistication. No alarms had been tripped, and the money was untraceable since it was all used bills. Several arrests were made, but the mastermind and most of the money were never recovered. The tunnel itself was reinforced, had lighting and ventilation, more like a mine than a hole. To this day, investigators call it one of the most brilliantly planned heists in Latin American history. 7. The Lufthansa Heist. In December 1978, inside JFK Airport in New York, mobsters orchestrated a brazen robbery that netted over $5 million in cash and $875,000 in jewelry. That's over $25 million in today's money. The heist was masterminded by Jimmy Burke, an associate of the Lucchese crime family. Thanks to inside information from an airport worker, the crew knew exactly where and when the money would be vulnerable. But what followed was even more shocking. Nearly everyone involved in the heist either disappeared or was murdered, likely by Burke himself, who didn't want to share the loot. No one was ever convicted for the actual robbery. Even with the FBI's intense scrutiny and mob informants, most of the stolen cash was never recovered. This heist inspired the famous film Goodfellas, but in real life, the ending is far darker and remains completely unresolved. Chapter 6. The Great Train Robbery In 1963, a Royal Mail train traveling from Glasgow to London was stopped by a gang of 15 men using fake signals and a beatdown on the conductor. The crew looted £2.6 million, over $70 million in today's terms. They escaped to a remote farmhouse hideout where they laid low. But what made this robbery so famous was its sheer planning and military-level precision. They practiced with a replica train and used inside info from a postal employee. While many of the gang members were eventually caught, only a fraction of the money was ever recovered. Some members escaped justice entirely and vanished overseas. One of them, Ronnie Biggs, even lived openly in Brazil for decades, taunting authorities. Despite the arrests, the majority of the cash and questions remain. 5. The Harry Winston jewelry heist. In December 2008, 4 thieves entered the Harry Winston jewelry store in Paris, 2 of them dressed in wigs and women's clothing. They carried no weapons, only calm confidence and precise knowledge. They called employees by name, knew the locations of hidden safes, and avoided security sensors effortlessly. Within minutes, they hooked $108 million worth of diamonds, rings, and luxury pieces. Only one suspect was arrested, and a small portion of the loot recovered years later. The elegance of the crime stunned the public. There were no alarms triggered and no violence used. The store was left in shock, and the thieves walked out without leaving a single clue behind. 4. The Brinks robbery. In 1983, 6 armed men entered the Brinks warehouse near Heathrow Airport expecting to steal cash. Instead, they stumbled upon £26 million in gold bullion, 3 tons of it. They poured petrol over the guards and threatened to light them on fire unless they complied. Once inside, they quickly loaded the gold, diamonds, and cash into a van and vanished. While some suspects were caught, the majority of the gold was melted down, mixed with copper, and reintroduced into legitimate markets. The robbery created a ripple effect of violence and betrayal in London's criminal underworld. Some believe the gold funded future criminal empires. To this day, most of the fortune and key players remain in the shadows. 3. The United California Bank Heist. In 1972, the Dincio crew, a group of professional burglars, broke into a United California bank branch in Laguna Niguel and took over $30 million in cash and valuables. They believed the vault contained illegal slush funds linked to President Richard Nixon. The team used explosives and advanced safe-cracking techniques with shocking precision. They fled across the country and hid the money, but a minor mistake at another bank robbery in Ohio led to their arrest. Yet to this day, the location of most of the money remains a mystery. Some theorists believe government agents quietly let parts of the crime slide to keep secrets buried. Others think the money was laundered into foreign accounts. The Dincio crew was caught, but the truth behind what was in that vault may never be fully known. 2. The Dunbar armored heist. On September 12, 1997, Alan Pace used his job as a security inspector to orchestrate the largest cash robbery in U.S. history. $18.9 million from the Dunbar armored facility in Los Angeles. He knew camera blind spots, vault codes, and timing. With 5 friends, they entered after hours, tied up guards, and loaded the cash in under 30 minutes. The plan was flawless, until one accomplice handed out some of the money to a friend who used it to buy property. That triggered an investigation, and Pace was eventually caught. But to this day, over half the money has never been found. Pace never revealed where he hid it, and authorities believe some of it may still be buried or laundered. It remains one of the boldest and most precise inside jobs ever executed. 1. The Canadian maple syrup heist. In 2012, over 3,000 tons of maple syrup, worth $18 million, were stolen from Quebec's Global Strategic Reserve. Criminals siphoned the syrup from barrels, replaced it with water, and sold the real stuff on the black market. This wasn't just a theft. It was a coordinated operation involving insiders, multiple warehouses, and a deep understanding of distribution routes. It took months before inspectors noticed that the syrup barrels were suspiciously light. Some arrests were made, but nearly $10 million worth of syrup was never recovered. This strange heist became a national scandal in Canada, leading to tighter controls on the liquid gold. It proves that even the sweetest commodities can inspire the boldest crimes. Perfect crimes, vanished millions, and questions that may never be answered. These heists remind us that sometimes criminals really do get away. From priceless art to barrels of syrup, every case we covered today still haunts investigators and captivates the world. Which one do you think was the most brilliant? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read everyone. And if you crave more stories about mysterious crimes, brilliant thieves, and unsolved puzzles, make sure to subscribe to Crime Cipher. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a new case. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, every mystery starts with a cipher.